I still remember the first time I saw him, not as her husband, not as someone I wasn't supposed to want, but simply as a man. It was a humid Friday evening in Karachi, the kind that made the city shimmer with restlessness. We were sitting in a rooftop cafe, my best friend Zara tapping through her phone while her husband Adam leaned back in his chair, watching the skyline fade into orange. I'd known Zara since university. She was the kind of woman who made the world revolve around her without even trying, funny, impulsive, magnetic. When she introduced Adam a few years ago, I liked him instantly, mostly because he seemed to calm her chaos. He was quiet but not cold, polite but observant, the type who listened more than he spoke. For years, I was the third wheel who didn't mind being one. Zara's life was a constant cycle of dinner parties, weekend getaways, and Instagram-perfect moments, and I tagged along for most of it. I loved her. I loved them even, the way they fit, the way they seemed to belong to each other. But life doesn't always follow the lines you draw. It started with Zara's new job. She had been offered a creative director role in Dubai, a dream she'd chased for years. "It's just for a few months," she'd said. "You'll keep Adam company, won't you?" I laughed it off at the time. "You're asking me to babysit your husband?" She grinned. "He's useless alone. He'll forget to eat, and you live 5 minutes away." When she left, I checked in on him out of loyalty. I'd drop by with food, help fix things around the apartment, chat for a bit. He was awkward at first, keeping a polite distance. But slowly, our conversations grew longer. We started talking about everything: music, work, the loneliness that hides in modern life. He'd tell me about his childhood, how his mother's absence shaped him, how Zara's energy both thrilled and exhausted him. I'd nod, listening carefully, feeling my chest tighten with something I didn't want to name. It wasn't one big moment. It was dozens of small ones that blurred together. The evening he called after a rough day at work, his voice breaking. The night we ordered pizza, sitting too close on the couch, our shoulders brushing. The time his hand lingered on mine when I passed him a glass of water. Each time, I told myself it was harmless, that I was being kind, that Zara trusted me. But the night it rained, everything changed. I had stopped by to drop off his umbrella he'd left in my car. He was standing by the window, the city lights flickering behind him. There was music playing, something slow, something that filled the silence between us. "I miss her," he said softly. "But sometimes, I don't know who she's become." I should have walked away. Instead, I stepped closer. "She still loves you, Adam. She lives fast." "And you don't?" he asked, turning toward me. I wanted to laugh, but my throat closed. "I used to." Our eyes met, and for a moment, the air between us felt like it could catch fire. Then he kissed me, gentle at first, almost questioning. I froze, my mind screaming her name. But my body betrayed me. I kissed him back. The rain hit harder outside, blurring the city into streaks of silver. Inside, it felt like time stopped. When we finally pulled apart, neither of us spoke. He whispered, "This never happened." And I nodded, though we both knew it wasn't true. For weeks, we pretended it hadn't happened. I avoided him, then missed him. He tried to act normal, then called late at night just to hear my voice. "I don't know what's happening to me," he said once. "I feel alive when you're around, but it's wrong." "I know," I whispered, "but I can't stop." We fell into something fragile and dangerous. Stolen moments, hidden messages, the constant hum of guilt under every heartbeat. I told myself it was temporary, that Zara would return and things would go back to normal. But love has a way of rewriting your sense of right and wrong. When she finally did return, everything felt off. She was busier than ever, talking about expansion plans, new clients, the next phase. She barely noticed how quiet Adam had become. I watched them across dinner tables and wondered if she could feel what I did, that something between them had changed shape. It happened on a Sunday morning. Zara and I were having coffee at my place, laughing about something trivial. Then she paused, eyes narrowing. "You've been different," she said. "Different how?" "I don't know. Distant. Like you're keeping something from me." I swallowed hard. "I've just been busy." She smiled faintly but didn't believe me. "You'd tell me if something was wrong, right?" That question broke me. Later that day, I texted Adam. "We need to stop. He came over anyway." "I can't lose you too," he said, his voice low, desperate. "You already have me," I said, "and that's the problem." He reached for me, but I stepped back. "She's my best friend, Adam. Do you understand what that means? Every time I look at her, I see what I've taken." He stared at me, eyes wet, then turned and left. That was the last time I saw him for months. A few weeks later, Zara called me in tears. "He's leaving," she said. "He got a transfer to London. He didn't even tell me until today." I felt something shatter inside me. She cried on my shoulder that night, and I held her, every sob stabbing through my ribs. I wanted to tell her everything, to confess, to take whatever punishment came. But I stayed silent. Some truths destroy too much to fix. When Adam left, I didn't go to the airport. I just stood on my balcony, watching the planes cut through the night sky, wondering which one carried him away. Months passed. Zara threw herself into work, eventually starting her own design firm. We still saw each other, but the ease was gone. I'd laugh, smile, play the part. But some nights, I'd wake up remembering his voice, the weight of his hand, the sound of rain. One day, she mentioned him casually. He called, said London's been good for him. Maybe distance is what we needed. I nodded, forcing a smile. Maybe it is. But when she looked away, I let myself cry silently, mourning something that was never really mine. 2 years later, I got an email. No subject line, no greeting. Just his name at the end. "I think about you sometimes, not with regret, but with gratitude. You made me realize what love can do to a person, how it can heal and ruin at the same time. I hope you're happy. You deserve peace. I'm trying to find mine. A." I read it over and over until the words blurred. Then I deleted it. It's been 4 years now. Zara is married again. To someone kind, someone steady. We still talk, though not as much. She doesn't know the whole story, and maybe she never will. As for me, I live quietly. I've learned that love isn't always meant to be possessed. Sometimes it's just meant to change you, to show you who you are beneath the lies you tell yourself. When it rains, I still think of that night. The sound, the light, the moment everything blurred. It's a memory I carry like a scar. Painful, but proof that I once felt something real, even if it came at a price. I was his wife's best friend, and for a brief, impossible moment, I was something more. Some stories don't begin with lightning. They start quietly, like a low hum beneath everyday noise. For me, it began on a rooftop in Karachi, the night air sticky with humidity and exhaust. Zara was taking pictures of her drink, complaining about the lighting. Adam, her husband, leaned back in his chair, watching the city through the rim of his glass. I'd met him a year before their wedding. He was the quiet kind, comfortable in silence, which made him stand out in Zara's world of noise. She thrived on being seen, adored, quoted. He seemed content being her still point. That night, she laughed at something on her phone and nudged me. "Look at this meme. That's totally me when I'm mad." I smiled. She was always performing, even in friendship, and yet I loved her for it. Adam caught my gaze then, almost absently, like he hadn't meant to. There was no flirtation in it, just recognition. It lasted a second too long. When Zara left for the restroom, he said, "She's lucky to have you. You keep her grounded." I shrugged. "Sometimes I feel like the opposite." He smiled slightly. "That's why she trusts you." At the time, it felt like a simple exchange. I didn't know it would echo for years. When Zara got the offer in Dubai, we threw a small party at her place. She was radiant, half drunk on ambition, half terrified of leaving. Adam looked proud, but tired. I helped her pack, labeling boxes she'd never unpack. A week later, she was gone. I visited him 2 days after she left, bringing biryani because she'd told me to keep him fed. He opened the door in an old t-shirt, hair messy, apartment quiet. "You didn't have to," he said. "I promised her," I replied, setting the food on the counter. We ate together at the kitchen island, not saying much. The city outside hummed like an ocean of neon. Afterward, I rinsed the plates, and he leaned against the counter. "She texted me a photo of her new office," he said. "You can almost see the desert through the window." "She's happy," I said. He nodded, but something in his face darkened. "She's always happy. I'm starting to think she doesn't need me anymore." I wanted to tell him that wasn't true, that Zara loved him in her own messy way, but instead I said, "You're overthinking. Distance just makes everything feel louder." He smiled faintly. "You sound like someone who's been through this." "Maybe I have." That was the first real conversation we had. After that, it became routine. Me stopping by with leftovers, him walking me to the elevator, our words careful but growing warmer each time. I told myself it was friendship. That was the lie I built everything on. It rained for the first time that season the night we crossed the line. I remember it because Karachi rain never arrives gently. It crashes. The streets flooded in minutes. Traffic lights blinked out, and thunder rolled through the glass towers like anger. He'd called earlier, asking if I was safe. I'd said yes. Then he'd asked, almost shyly, "Do you want to come over? Power's out here too." I don't know why I said yes. His apartment smelled of wet dust and candle smoke. The light flickered across his face, softening the exhaustion I'd come to recognize. We talked for hours, our voices low, as if not to wake something dangerous between us. "I don't think I'm good at marriage," he said finally. "I try, but she's built for a world that keeps moving. I'm built for stillness." "Stillness isn't a flaw," I told him. "It's rare." He looked at me for a long time and then, quietly, "You understand me better than she does." I opened my mouth to deny it, but no words came. Instead, I felt his hand brush mine. It was nothing. A touch that could have been an accident, but it wasn't. When he kissed me, it was hesitant, trembling, like he already knew the price. I didn't stop him. Outside, rain hit the windows hard enough to drown out our guilt. When I finally left, the streets were empty and shining. My reflection in every puddle looked like someone I didn't know. The next morning, I woke up with the taste of rain and regret in my mouth. My phone was full of Zara's messages, selfies from her office, a voice note of laughter, a casual, "Miss you both." I listened, sitting at the edge of my bed, while the memory of his hands still clung to my skin. When I finally texted him, I wrote, "We can't do this." He replied within seconds, "I know, but knowing and stopping are not the same thing." Days passed quietly. Then one night he called, saying the internet had gone down and he just needed to hear someone's voice. I told myself it was harmless. We talked about nothing: movies, childhood summers, the weird loneliness of adulthood. Yet every word felt charged, every silence heavier than it should have been then. I tried to stay away. I dated briefly, forced smiles at strangers in cafes, deleted his number twice. But numbers live in memory longer than they do in phones. When Zara visited again 3 months later, we all met for dinner. She was glowing with success, hugging me too tight, kissing his cheek like she was making up for lost time. Watching them together felt like punishment. I smiled, laughed, acted normal. But under the table, my hands trembled. The lie wasn't a single sentence. It was hundreds of small, well-meaning ones. No, I haven't seen him much. Yes, we're fine. You're lucky, Zara. He loves you so much. I told those lies because the truth would burn everything. Meanwhile, Adam and I became ghosts orbiting the same guilt. We stopped touching, but we didn't stop wanting. We learned the art of coded glances, the careful dance of staying close without colliding. Once, after a small gathering at their place, Zara fell asleep on the couch, her head on his lap. I was collecting dishes when he looked up at me. His eyes said everything we could never speak. I shook my head, left the room, and cried quietly in the hallway. That night, I promised myself it was over. I meant it, in the way addicts mean it, the way you mean it when you still crave what you're swearing off. The following spring, Zara decided not to go back to Dubai. I'm done with corporate life, she told me. I want to start my own firm here. I've been missing out on real life. I smiled, but part of me panicked. Her return meant my secret would have to live closer to the surface. At first, things seemed better. The three of us went back to our old rhythm, brunches, small gatherings, movie nights. But the ease was gone. Adam was polite, distant. Zara, ever perceptive in ways that didn't protect her, started to notice. Did something happen between you two? She asked one night after too much wine. My heart stopped. What do you mean? You just feel different, like you're avoiding him. I forced a laugh. Maybe he's avoiding me. I give terrible business advice. She rolled her eyes and changed the subject. I exhaled so hard it hurt. Later, lying awake, I realized that the truth wasn't just haunting me. It was poisoning everything that had once been simple. Friendship, trust, home. It ended quietly, the way all storms eventually do. One afternoon, Adam texted, "Can we talk?" I met him at a small cafe far from where anyone might know us. He looked tired, like someone who hadn't slept for weeks. I got an offer in London, he said. It's a transfer. I think I'm going to take it. My throat tightened. Does Zara know? She will tonight. We sat there, the sound of espresso machines filling the spaces we couldn't. He reached across the table, stopped midway, and pulled his hand back. You were never meant to be part of this mess. I walked into it, I said, willingly. He gave a small, broken smile. That doesn't make it right. When we stood to leave, he hesitated at the door. For what it's worth, he whispered, you made me feel seen. I'll carry that. Then he left. That night, Zara called me in tears. He'd told her about the transfer, not about me. She cried for hours, and I held her while my own heart fractured quietly beneath her weight. When his flight took off the next morning, I stood on my balcony and watched the sky fade. Somewhere up there, he was leaving behind the only two people who ever truly knew him. The days after he left felt like static. Zara called often, sometimes just to fill the silence. I listened to her cry, helped her choose new curtains, joined her for late-night drives around Clifton when she couldn't sleep. It became my quiet penance. She healed faster than I expected. Zara always did. Within months, she was talking about new projects, new travel plans, a new version of herself. London will make him happier, she said once, more to convince herself than me. He was always meant for bigger things. I nodded. I wanted to believe that distance could redeem what we broke. But at night, I'd catch myself scrolling through old texts, the fragments of conversations we'd once shared. There was no closure, only the echo of words we never finished saying. I deleted his number again. This time, it stayed gone. 2 years passed quietly. I moved apartments, changed jobs, grew older in subtle ways. Zara remarried a kind man named Hassan, the sort who asked about her day and meant it. Their wedding was small, simple. She made me maid of honor again, as if nothing between us had ever cracked. I told myself that was grace. Maybe it was also denial. Then, one evening, I received an email from an unfamiliar address. No subject line, no greeting, just text. I don't know why I'm writing. Maybe because some memories never fade, no matter how far you go. You made me believe that love can exist even inside guilt, even when it has no right to. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I finally understand what peace costs. A. I read it until the screen dimmed. Then I closed the laptop, pressed my hands against my face, and wept. Not because of longing, but because I knew we'd never speak again. Some stories end long before they stop hurting. It rained again last night. I watched from my window, the city lights smearing across the glass. Rain always takes me back to that night, that version of myself who mistook loneliness for destiny. Zara called earlier, telling me she's expecting her first child. Her voice was full of light, and I felt something unclench in my chest. Maybe this is how redemption looks, not dramatic or loud, but quiet. Slow. Arriving years later when no one's watching. I walked to the balcony and let the wind hit my face. Somewhere in the distance, thunder rolled, low and familiar. For the first time in years, I didn't flinch. We are all made of mistakes and mercy. I've learned to live with both. I was his wife's best friend. And once, for a moment that will never fade, I loved him more than I should have. Now I love the silence that followed even more.